You ain't got to go home, but you got to kick it here. I know that because it's another day for McKale Madness. Listen, this is the nation's best Arizona basketball only podcast. Might be the only one, but it doesn't matter because we are here. I'm Saul Bookman. That's Corey Williams. Corey, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. You can't put qualifiers on it. This might be the best podcast out there, period, point blank. Take Arizona out of it. Take just you and me, man. Come on. What else? What else do people need?
It's true. It's true. How about it is the best Arizona basketball podcast out there? How about that?
Oh, there's no question. No question.
Listen, we got to get a lot to get into, obviously, today because there's just been so much that has happened in the last 5 days. Oof, man, we could start off with ASU, but let's start off a little bit more recent. You know, recency bias will prevail right now as Arizona took care of BYU, winning on the road in Provo on Tuesday night in what I thought was a really good second half performance from start to finish. I really just was very impressed with the way not only Arizona was able to put BYU away, but the way they methodically kind of found adjustments throughout the course of that second half to really take care of business on the road.
No, it was a great game. That game, for someone like me, that game at this point in the season contained everything you need for kind of like a diagnostic check on Arizona basketball. You had a talented team. You had a hostile environment. You had defensive assignments. It was going to require some physical toughness. It was going to require some mental toughness. And I thought that in my mind, that's a Sweet 16 game, an Elite 8 game, that type of atmosphere, maybe a slightly better opponent, but that is the game you have to win if you want to advance to the Elite 8 of the Final Four. So they got a taste of that. Like I said, they'll be playing hopefully a better level, slightly better team, but you got to bring all of that from Tuesday night. You got to bring that with you into the tournament because that's the atmosphere.
I think if we played BYU a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago, I don't know if you win that game on the road because they were still trying to find themselves out. And now I feel like they're starting to hone in on their identity. And really, I think when we talk about trying to hone in on your identity, it's not about the system. It's more of the players coming to a realization of what they're expected to do, what they're capable of doing, because those two don't necessarily match up all the time. Because we all know, Corey, you've played with dudes like this that they come in and they think, oh yeah, I'm the best player on the team. And then you start the season, you're like, bro, sit down. You should not be shooting this much. You are not the best player on the team. I'm not saying that that's the case in this instance, but what I am saying is players that maybe thought that they were going to have a different role had to adjust because their role has shifted. Not only because of injury, like you take somebody like Henry Vasar, for instance, he wasn't expected to come in and play heavy minutes. He was expected to play a little bit, but we didn't expect this. And now he had to adjust. KJ Lewis comes into the season. People are thinking he's going to have to be relied on to score. Not so much. Not something that Arizona's relying on heavily. They need his defense and his playmaking more than anything else. So guys are shifting into their roles and understanding what they're good at and how they can benefit the team more than anything else.
No, and there's a settling effect that happens in college basketball when you play. The coaches evaluate, they create the lineup and the rotation they think is going to win, but then eventually players show what they can do, and it's the job of the coach to take that information, take what they see, and put it into a winning formula. So no matter what expectations you walk on campus with in August, the way the team is playing in January, February is a result of just literally king of the hill, survival of the fittest, pecking order, alpha. It all takes place in practice and it all gets settled. And then once you figure out where you fit into the formula, now it's your job to be a consistent part of that formula. I know what they need from me for us to win. I got to do it every time we take the floor. That's where Arizona is right now. When I look at the BYU game, if I'm BYU and I'm analyzing and I'm being honest, this is how you know Arizona is ascending. Okay, post-game autopsy. Did Toby Awaka hurt us? Yes, he did. Did Henry Basar hurt us? Yeah, he did. Did Caleb Love hurt us? Yeah, he did. Did Jaden Bradley get into the rack and making all those free throws? Did that hurt? Yeah, that hurt us. I mean, that's where Arizona is right now. Everybody impacts the game. I've always said the team that goes five guys in double figures, 4 guys in double figures, you're not going to beat that Arizona team. And that's where they are now. Everybody, I mean, Toby Awaka was the only player showing up in the opening minutes of that game, making buckets. Jaden Bradley closed them out. Caleb Love hit him over the head with huge threes. Every time the crowd got into the game, Caleb silenced him with a 3. It literally was a team win, something that we didn't see in the first 9 or 10 games of the season.
I wholeheartedly agree. I really felt like, to your point, Toby at the beginning, Caleb, a mixture of Caleb and Henry on the offensive side, and Caleb's defense has been actually. Let me take that back. Both those guys played solid defense. I thought Basar had some pretty good blocks as well. And KJ's defense. I think the combination of those 3 kind of held the middle, and then Jaden kind of closed it out. I thought that recipe, I could see that kind of carrying forward for the rest of the season. Obviously, the opponent's going to try to switch that up and take things away as we go on. But I just thought from start to finish in the second half, I was really happy with the way they played. And to me, they're putting together some second halves that are unbeatable if they continue on at this pace. Clutch shooting, key rebounds, great defense, can win any game in this league and any game in the tournament if you do it, consistently. I think that's what this team is all about. When we look at Toby Awaka, I'll say this. At the beginning of the season, I don't know very many fans that thought that if I had told you Toby Awaka was not only going to hit some middies, but some floaters, he was going to be the best rebounder in the country at one point. I don't know how many people would have believed you in the first 5 or 10 games of the season, but it wasn't just the rebounding, because we had seen that before. The offensive versatility that he's starting to show, it feels like he's getting a little bit more confident. He's not being as gun shy, if you will. 2 shots, the floater with one hand and then the little mid-range at the elbow. I was like, I don't know if Toby takes that earlier in the season, and I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well, you have to be, because any good coach is going to force a team to their second, third, and fourth option. We're going to stay tight on the guards. If they get it to the high post, we're going to contain, keep them in front, and we'll live with that shot. That's what you tell your guys to shoot around that morning when you play Arizona. Toby Awaka from 15, we'll take that. We'll take our chances with that, because we don't think that's going to be consistent. And it was consistent because he did his job. You force the ball to me, I'm going to make you pay. That's my responsibility to my teammates. I'm not going to be the weak link. So if you take away Caleb and you take away Jaden and you take away KJ and you end up with me at the high post, they're looking at me like, go on and knock that down, big fella, because we need you to knock that down. Otherwise, we're never going to eat. So the fact that he stepped up and made those shots and then he got in a rhythm, it really broke the ice for Arizona. I think going back a little bit, defensive report cards, Caleb still, he's a gambler. He looks for opportunities. He sometimes he gets caught standing up. Sometimes he'll get beat on the back door. He's good on his rotations, but his instinct is to cheat and steal and be clever. And sometimes he gets that breakaway tomahawk dunk and the crowd goes wild. Sometimes he misses, and now it's 5-on-4, and we take a 3. Now, that's not as much as it used to be, but that's something he can control. The difference is the way KJ Lewis plays defense. KJ Lewis plays defense personally. I'm going to shut you down. Yes. You ain't getting shit. That is his mentality. So when Demon had his nice little breakout first half, who did Demon see in the second half on him all over the court?
KJ
Had 6 points in the second half, and actually had 9, the 3 at the end of the game that didn't matter. You put him on the freshman point guard, the superstar lottery pick freshman point guard, and KJ took it personal. And so did Jaden Bradley, who knows he has to stay out there for foul purposes. He can't get in foul trouble. But Jaden is out there getting deflections and steals and doubling down and digging the ball out against the big men and starting to break 3-on-2. So I give that Arizona team a huge A on defense. I thought I was there in the gym, and I can tell you there wasn't one, there wasn't two, not three, not four, not five, maybe half a dozen times where that game was ready to break for BYU.
Mm-hmm.
They had just made a play. You couldn't hear yourself think, and Arizona had the ball. That happened half a dozen times. Normally it happens twice in a game, maybe. It happened at least half a dozen times, and they bounced back. They got stops. They made buckets. They huddled up as a team. They did not lose their cool, and that's the part of that game that makes me very, very optimistic about their tournament chances, because that's the atmosphere that you're going to be in.
You know, it's a subtle adjustment, and I'm going to assume Tommy said something or somebody said something on the bench or at halftime about the way they were defending the pick and roll, and really kind of the way they've been defending the pick and roll at certain times this season, where sometimes, you know, some teams, they get a little lazy and they'd rather switch. And I think Arizona, instead of just playing the pick and roll and hugging the hip of the man, what they started doing was, as soon as they got past the pick, they shot in front of the man instead of gunning towards the hip. Almost at some point, if BYU started to realize that maybe they would try to do a step back three, but they didn't really have that kind of personnel. Hall was the only one that really had a step back three moment at any point in the game. And I thought, and he hit it. I mean, I'll give him credit for that, but that's not what they wanted to rely on. A lot of their players are a little bit more set shot kind of guys. They're not really dribble off a step back move kind of guys. And so I thought that small adjustment prevented BYU from trying to get to the rack, because they were getting to the rack several times, especially Hall. And then guess what happened? They brought in our guy, KJ. KJ defended Hall. The first possession, of course, Hall gets to the basket because there's no weak side help, no backline defense. But then after that, it was on lock, and he didn't really make an impact, but he was on a burn for a little while. KJ comes in, shuts that down. That little adjustment, I thought defensively was a huge key, because it prevented the momentum for BYU to continue. You know, it's a rhythm game. You get a little easy bucket here or there. Even if you miss, if you get a putback, you're still feeling pretty good. You got a nice rhythm. That kind of came to a screeching halt as soon as Arizona was able to make those adjustments. And you saw that from about the 10-minute mark on. It was really hard for BYU to get a bucket.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way that I watch basketball is pretty simple. Did the ball in action, did the ball create the action? Did the set create the action, or did the player create the action? BYU is a team where the ball creates the action. They use the ball screen to turn the corner. Now, what are you going to do? Is your big man going to step up? Are we going to drive? Are we going to drop it off to our big? Are we going to kick it to the corner? Is the guard going to rotate over so we go open up the three? They let the action create everything for them. Now, when you play a team like BYU, you say, okay, they use a lot of actions. They use the ball to create opportunities. What Arizona was able to do was flip the script and force them to be athletic. We're going to jump that ball screen. In other words, if you need a ball screen to get some things moving, we're going to make sure you have to give it up. So you're not going to get anything. So you're going to take the ball screen, you're going to get double teamed, and we're going to kick it. You're going to have to kick it to somebody else. And when you kick it to someone else, we're going to recover. We want you to be athletes and try to come into us with the one-on-one. Because if, like you said, if we just let you use the screen and then we react to that, we're chasing, we're a step behind, we're a pass behind, you're knocking down threes, the crowd is going crazy, and you run us out of the gym. There's a lot of teams in college basketball that use the ball to create action. But the reality is the teams that are going to the Final Four all have players that can create their own action and don't need a set. Every coach, they'll tell you privately, if they got a kid like that, they love him to death. And if they don't have a kid, they tell you they wish they had a kid that could just do his own thing every once in a while. And we see players like that in the Big 12 all the time, but it's a good strategy by Arizona to jump that ball screen and turn them into athletes. And I think that was a key part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely was. Listen, we'll talk about a lot of things in terms of Arizona's future, but we want to know if you're buying or selling what Bobby Hurley had to say on Saturday, and we'll get to that right after this. Well, folks, speaking of buying and selling, one of the things that you've got to make sure that you do when you're in the market for a home is you need to contact Carol Royce team. The Carol Royce team is fantastic. Whether you're buying or selling your home, doesn't matter. They are going to hook you up. They're going to take care of you, especially if you're buying your home. The Carol Royce real estate team is family owned and locally operated with 3 generations of family members serving the Valley of the Sun. Even those in Tucson, if you're trying to find the best possible resource to get the best possible home that you can, you got to contact Carol and her team. They are amazing. Carol and her team have an unbeatable track record, having sold over 12,000 homes. I was about to say 120,000 homes, which would have been incredible too, across the Valley and across the state of Arizona. Carol knows the Arizona real estate market better than anybody else. Choosing the right agent is a big decision. And too often you're left with doubts of whether or not this is the right person for the job. Carol Royce will alleviate all of those issues. Carol Royce gives written guarantees. You can rest easy knowing you're not just making the right choice, but you're making the guaranteed one. Love your home, or Carol will buy it back. So if you're looking for a home in the market, please reach out to Carol Royce and her team. And again, it's just the best place to go. Have questions, call today or visit Carol online at carolroyceteam.com. That's carolroyceteam.com. In addition to that, obviously, listen, there's a lot of shade we're about to throw here in a second, but Shady Rays is the place to go if you want to get the very best glasses in the game. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. Again, there's nowhere else to go. They're going to honor a discount code that we provide in their store as well. You can also get replacements for all that stuff. Just go to shadyrays.com and use promo code PHNX to save yourself up to 35% off of polarized sunglasses today. Shadyrays.com is the place to go. All right, Corey.
I make the shades look good. You got to admit.
I mean, you do, man. I mean, listen, they styling, man. And it's a good time because, Bobby. I don't even know what to say about Bobby. He is something else, man. He is something else. Bobby Hurley did not have the best Saturday at all. And let's just start off by this. Arizona was neck and neck with ASU for a large portion out of the game. And again, we got to about that 8-minute mark, and Arizona showed why Arizona is Arizona, and ASU showed why ASU is ASU. That's just what it is. But for whatever reason, we got up in our feels on Saturday, and we did not like the trash that was being spoken out on that court. This is what I'll say about this. To come out in the press conference and go out on a limb and say, I don't like the way that they were talking, as if your guys had nothing to do whatsoever. Didn't say a peep. They were just, hey, we're here to hoop, and that's all. We aren't going to trash talk, not in this rivalry game, not in Tempe, in our home court. No, we're going to let you talk all the trash, and we're just going to carry through pure basketball at its finest. To act like that was the situation on Saturday is not only egregious, but it's a travesty, it's a sham, and it's a mockery. Otherwise known as a Travis Sham mockery. Bobby Hurley should be ashamed of himself. Corey, what you got?
It's funny because I was watching the game and I saw what happened. And this is a time where I'm so glad people in Tucson have no idea where I live because my safety would be in jeopardy here. I didn't really have a problem with anything that happened. So I see the headbutt. Post game, any of it. Because, okay, let's just start with the ejection, right? You hoop, I've hooped. I knew Caleb was jawing at him. Even though he wasn't giving him eye contact, I could see his mouth moving, and I knew he was saying some stuff. Freeman is the guy who got ejected in a game I did a couple of weeks back for hitting a guy between the legs. So he's already kind of an emotional loose cannon. So it's a rivalry game. You're getting beat on your home floor. The visiting team is chirping, and he said a little too much. They're nose to nose, and the kid just lost it and headbutts him. Okay, definitely flagrant 2, definite ejection. Caleb then goes berserk because he just got headbutted, and Carter grabs him, and he's pulling him, and Caleb's yelling and screaming, and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to toss him. Game's going to be over. Then I find out that they tossed Caleb too. And I'm like, okay, they must have tossed him because he went absolutely berserk after he got headbutted. So in my mind, I'm thinking, why would you eject a guy for his reaction to getting headbutted? Like, he was headbutted first. So no matter how he reacts, you really can't penalize him because he wasn't in the wrong. And that's the opinion I carried for maybe 12 hours. And then people started reaching out, and I made a few calls, and I started talking to people. And here's what we got, folks. Last night, there was a ref. One of the refs was doing on my game last night, Colorado versus Utah, who was a guy in the crew, and we talked about this at length. And he told me that in that situation, they tossed the instigator and the offender, just like that. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. He said, in those types of situations, if you're in somebody's face and you're saying stuff and we can hear it and you instigate whatever, you're both out of here, because they want to basically put a squash on all of it together. The person running their mouth and the person who goes too far, both of y'all are out. Now, I asked him, I said, do you make that call, 5 minutes into the game in the first half? Do you toss both of them? And he says, maybe not. Maybe it's a flagrant 1 and the flagrant 2 for the headbutt. But at that point in the game, both you guys get the hell out of here. That's his exact quote. And it made sense to me because the game was over. So there wasn't really any damage done by chucking both of the players for what had happened. So that was insight from the officials and the way they looked at the situation. And the other thing that hit me was he must have been saying some foul stuff. You gotta say some foul stuff to get a dude to headbutt you. Bro, we done hooped a lot in our life. Thousands of hours. So, yeah, it was a game. The game was over. And the other thing is, and if you notice it, and let's just take Arizona ASU out of it. I'm telling you right now, I've been doing games for 10 years. A guy makes a 3 in the corner, and they all turn around and talk trash to the bench. That's just what they do. They pick this up from the NBA. And if you go back and watch the Arizona State game, you'll see our guys doing it to their bench. You'll see them doing it to our bench. They make the corner 3 and they turn around. They do this right in front of the coaches, and they're doing this and they're backing up and they're talking to people who aren't even on the floor. This is not just an Arizona State thing, folks. This is across the country. Yeah. And the refs are sick of it. And the coaches are trying to reel it in. But these kids mimic the league players who do this. So they're doing it. And then, I hate to break it to you, but these kids say some god-awful stuff to each other. You can go to any AAU tournament in the country, and you're going to have to cover your child's ears on every dunk, on every 3, on every timeout. You can go on YouTube and see the fistfights that break out in these tournaments. They have to get all of this behavior under wraps, or this will not. I mean, this is something that happens all the time anyway. So I will say this. Freeman was dead wrong for headbutting him. Caleb trash talk. Okay, he got thrown out. And this is the last part, and I know people aren't going to agree with this, but I understand what Bobby did. We already took an L. The kids are out of control. They're talking trash to each other. Why try to shake hands and have a punch thrown? And now I got league suspensions and I'm already shorthanded. You know what? Let's just go. Let's just get. And everybody's like, oh my God, it's so classless. It's so what? Every day, coaches have to make decisions on what's best for their kids and best for their team. Nobody else has to like that shit because it's the coach's job. So if I know one of my players headbutted somebody, and his boys are all over here. They just seen it. They've been getting yelled at and cursed at and talked to crazy. And they've been yelling and cursing and talking. Why in the hell would you bring all them kids together at midcourt? What do you think is going to happen after that, people? Be serious for a minute. So I wasn't really tripping when Bobby told his kids, get the hell out of here, because it had gotten to a point where it wasn't even about the game anymore. Freeman just headbutted Caleb Love on national TV. You listen to the announcers, they're stammering, trying to figure out how to address it. They're like, whoa, this is crazy. This is a horrible end to a great game. Da, 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 da. Yeah, you know what? I'm not walking a bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids down here to be around these groups of kids. No, everyone had lost complete control of that game. If anything would have happened and we lose a player like Caleb Love or Toby Awaka for some shoving and pushing and punching, then guess who doesn't beat BYU a couple days later? Yeah. So people have to get outside of this rivalry thing and start to be more analytical. We're talking about young people, and we've got coaches who've dedicated their life to coaching young people. I know Bobby Hurley. He is not a bad guy. Anybody who has anything negative to say about Coach Bobby Hurley, you've never met him. So to all the people online who just automatically side against ASU, hey, I'm right there with you. I'm a Wildcat. I don't got any love for the Sun Devils. But when you go too far and start talking about Tommy or Bobby and you've never met them and you don't know their family and you don't know anything about them, then I just got to, it's just noise. It's just chatter. So that's my take on it. And like I said, I know it's probably not a popular take, but it is what it is. And I really don't care if people agree with me or not.
Okay. Well, I don't agree with you. And this is why. I agree with you on the player side. I do. I could easily see that scenario. And at first I thought, honestly, if I was Bobby, I'd probably do the same thing. That is the smart move. Let's not instigate this anymore. Where I have a problem with is after that. After the players are gone, Bobby didn't go shake hands. Now, nobody's going to fight Bobby Hurley. None of the players would have ever fought Bobby Hurley. We know this. It would have never happened because they not only would they have been suspended, they probably would have been suspended for the rest of the year and probably been exiled out of basketball. That just, True. You don't fight coaches. That's just True. Not going to happen, right? True. So Bobby could have approached Tommy, shook hands, explained the situation, or even just like, hey, I'll talk to you later, whatever, and bounce. That would have been cool, but he didn't do that. He guarded his players, and then he made it even worse because he goes to the presser and he's explaining himself, but he explains himself in a way that's too emotional. Like it's not calculated. It's too in the moment. And then he tops it off. And I don't care what Caleb Love said on the court. Bobby Hurley is from mother effing New Jersey. He has heard the worst of the worst on the court. I promise you that. When he was at Duke, you mean to tell me that when he was playing against the Fab Five, not Chris Webber, not Jawan Howard, not Jalen effing Rose said anything egregious on the court to Bobby Hurley? Come on, man. We saw the documentary. We know exactly how those dudes felt. You know what they were saying on the court. So for Bobby Hurley to sit there and get all up in his feels about what Caleb Love may have said on the court, and then to take it one step further and say, basically, that he's not voting for him for Big 12 Player of the Year, regardless of what happens, is the thing that I cannot get past. Because not only are you talking about somebody that is trying to, curry favor with his fan base, but also influence the outcome of certain positions and certain awards for a player that may or may not deserve it. And you didn't have to say that out loud. You didn't have to say that part out loud, Bobby. You could have just kept that to yourself and not voted for him. But you wanted everybody to know how you feel, and you escalated the situation from something that was already kind of bad, and you made it even worse. And as a head coach of a program, you are a role model. And when you don't lead by example in that way, you are just escalating you're giving your players an out to also take their actions another level and one step further down the road. You can't do that. Tommy took the high road. Now, it wasn't his guy that headbutted. It wasn't his team that was losing. So it's a little easier to take the high road in that situation. But again, Bobby has had these repetitive issues of outbursts they're too much. And when you put it in this situation, and you even have tons of ASU fans talking about how they did not agree with Bobby Hurley not shaking hands with Tommy Lloyd after the game, and then piggybacking on that with a comment that just didn't need to be said. That's what takes this over the top. And that's what I disagree with. And I just don't think Bobby Hurley needs to be doing that kind of stuff. I have met Bobby Hurley as well. I think he's a nice guy behind the scenes. But oh my gosh, every time they play U of A, he gets a little too ratcheted up. He's almost too much in the moment. He wants to win badly against Arizona. I get that. But bro, you can't do that at all. You are in a head coaching position in a big time conference. All the eyes are on you. And when you take it one step further by the comment about Caleb Love, I just can't see it, because to me, that's weak. That's weak.
Well, this is the thing. There's so much that's unknown. That stuff that was being said wasn't mic'd up. Nobody has audio recordings of it. So we don't know, and Caleb's not going to say it, and Tommy's not going to say it, and Bobby's not going to say it. They're just going to, say the things that have already been said. To his point, Bobby did make a statement that the only thing he regretted about that situation is that he did not shake Tommy's hand after the game. He immediately called Tommy, and the two of them spoke on the phone. They have tremendous respect for each other. Tremendous. Long before Bobby got to ASU and long before Tommy got to Arizona, those two guys have known each other. So we have to give this full context. These are professional coaches, and the coaching fraternity is a lot thicker than most fans understand. And I'm just here to tell you it is what it is. But he did reach out and he apologized, and it's water under the bridge. Now, the rivalry game coming up on March 4th, yours truly, excited. I'll be on the call for that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to play that up because that's not really part of the game. It's already a great state rivalry. Now,
you might not want to.
People are going to do it, but from a production standpoint, that's not why I'm interested to see, the game. Arizona State, we don't need an axe to grind. That's just rivalries forever. It's on for life. They ran up the score on us in football, and it was what it was. There were years where we pounded them in football, and it was what it was. We don't need any extra juice to want to beat ASU and vice versa. So for me, that's the other thing. Now, you made a great point. People act like they just met Bobby Hurley. Oh, my God, I can't believe he is from Jersey. He is a tough East Coast guy. He did play and was one of the best point guards in college basketball, playing with nothing but NBA guys. Had it not been for a car accident, he would have had a stellar, and I mean stellar, NBA career, because he was just that point guard. He comes from a family of coaches. His brother is one of the best coaches in the country. I mean, it's in his DNA to coach. So I agree with you that his Big 12 comment about voting was out of place. He could have done better, but I also know that I feel like in that presser, Bobby Hurley, the competitive player, started talking. Yeah. And that's where I think people weren't expecting that. They weren't expecting that, because you're right. The coaching hat came off, and if you call me an MF and SOB and I'm standing here at 50 years old, I'm sorry, Saul, 18-year-old kids can't talk to me like that. Mm-hmm. They can't talk to you like that.
I got you.
See me at Whole Foods and talk to me crazy in the streets and you 18, 19. See me at the movie theater and I'm with my nieces and nephews and you over there dropping F-bombs being disrespectful to me. I'm 51. I'll be 51 in a month and a half. So kids can't talk to me like that. And now you put us in a college basketball setting and y'all, oh, no. So, but you're right. I think he might regret verbalizing that because he felt violated, disrespected, or whatever. I don't know if kids walk up to Tommy Lloyd and call him a punk MF during the game to his face. I don't know if they're talking trash like that. But if they would, I can tell you this. If you would have said that to Coach O in front of Eugene Edgerson, oh, game's over. Game's over. Just get furniture moving, bleachers. We fighting all the time. You can't disrespect our coach, but this is a completely different era, completely different kids. And once again, I'm just trying to look at it from the fact that I know, yeah, he definitely should have made the effort to shake hands just for the gesture because it ain't that serious. And both him and Tommy don't take it that serious. And the comment about who he's not voting for, I'm willing to bet he probably wishes he didn't say that. Like you said, he could do it, but to say it, I think that was Bobby, the fierce competitor in his emotions. And this is the other thing. The press, you're part of the press. I'm part of the press, but I don't do interviews and stuff. Oh, they want to talk to you while the iron is still hot. They want to talk to you before you cool down. So they're like, okay, coach, you got this press conference, and he storms in there fresh off all the chaos and the madness, home loss to a rival, crazy ending with a headbutt, national TV. The whole country saw that. That was on CBS. So he comes in there still hot, and he didn't walk the tightrope that a coach should walk because he's human. I'm not going to say Bobby's a bad dude. I've known him for too long. I know him too well. He's not a bad guy, but in that moment, it did not carry well at all.
This is where I separate sports from people, right? I don't think Bobby Hurley is a bad dude. Right. I just don't. Like I said, I have met him, and meeting him in person, you get the person more than you get anything else, right? And right. And you'll fuck with that, right? You're like, okay, cool. He's fine. Kenny Dillingham's kind of the same way. I like Kenny Dillingham. He's cool. I just don't want him to beat us ever. That's just what it is, right?
Right. Exactly.
But okay, we're talking about a situation. And Corey, listen, I have coached. I played basketball. I've seen some awful situations. I've been put in some awful situations, toxic situations. I played with hotheads on the court. I played with guys that are not hot enough on the court. When you mentioned the player aspect, the player came out of Bobby. What's hard for me is to see the antics on the sideline. Okay. And the physical mannerisms that he has,
some of it's over the top, right.
And when you say player on the court, to me, I start to see that more when he's coaching on the sideline and he's getting after the refs and all this other stuff, right? Similar things to what his brother does too. That's just what they do in their family, I guess. But then you see, you're talking about what Caleb said to him. I also wonder.
No. I don't know that Caleb said anything to him. I don't know that. But
okay, true. But
he said they were making disrespectful comments, I believe is what he said. But I don't know if anybody addressed him directly. But yeah, he definitely was in his feels about what he had heard being said during that game.
But at the other side, I will say this: because he does come with somewhat of a player mentality from time to time, I can't sit there and just think that Bobby Hurley is just talking to his team 100% and never says anything about the other team in indirect ways or talks trash to the other team if they say something back or anything like that, right? There's a player mentality that goes along with that as well. And I'm not saying that he has or he does, but what I am saying is he has about 10, 15 minutes after that game before he has to go talk to the media. And during that 10 to 15 minutes, that's your cool down time. That's why they give you that 10 to 15 minutes. You got to chill out, go drink a glass of water, go hit some Henny on the side or something to calm you down. Because when you get into that sesh and you say what you said,
it lives forever. It's out there. It lives forever. It's on YouTube and it's permanent. You're 100% right.
And when you have coaches like Izzo, when you have coaches like Bill Self that say these kind of things and kind of get wild, well, they have the resume to back it up. So it's whatever. When you have nothing to really stand on except for a couple tournament appearances in the 10-year span, and your team is now 2-10 or 2-9 on the year, that's not going to fly as well as it would with coaches that have a little bit more clout. And that's just what it is. And Bobby should know better than that. And that's where my thing is. I like the fact that Bobby's so intense about the rivalry. I think it makes the rivalry
That's
better.
what I think a lot of people are missing because you got to keep it 100. And there's hardly any better people walking the earth than Herb Sendek. If you've ever met Coach Sendek, he recruited me when he was at Kentucky. Herb Sendek is one of the most decent, God-fearing, devoted, great people in the world. But was Arizona scared of Arizona State when he was the coach? Nah. Were Arizona State fans impassioned about the Herb Sendek era? When Bobby took that job, Saul, you remember the last 10 or 12 rows of the stadium were boxed off because they weren't selling tickets. They had to move people down closer to the court.
Yeah.
When Bobby came in, he embraced the rivalry. He's yanking off his jacket. He's yelling. He brought the intensity back to Arizona State basketball. He brought that fire, and the fans are like, oh my God, there's finally somebody here that is as passionate as we are. He dislikes Arizona. He wants the best. The antics, everybody loved that they had a coach that was fighting. And he's still that coach, whether he goes to the tournament, whether the year he was ranked second or third in the country where he had the three guards that couldn't miss from three. I mean, he personally has invested in that program. And now I see idiots all over we need to fire Bobby Hurley. And get who? You going to find somebody that knows more basketball than him at ASU? You're going to find somebody to bring in Quaintance and all the players. You think Sohan's going to come play for somebody else? Bobby Hurley is probably one of the best coaches y'all have had since before I even came to Arizona.
Maybe Evans, just because he had
you see?
Harden. Sorry.
You see how far back we got to go?
Yeah.
So pump your brakes. This guy, he's bringing it. He's, to your point, he's stepping across the line, and this ain't even his alma mater. He's not at Duke. He's at your school, giving a damn. So I understand it's not perfect, and trust me, you win that game, ain't nobody saying nothing. They not saying, oh, we beat Arizona. See how Bobby had the kids fighting, blah, blah, blah. That's why you can't really get into the whole little online situation, because it is what it is. It goes whatever way the wind blows. I just know good coaches. And I just know that Buffalo knocked out Arizona with a bunch of players that Bobby put over there before he took the job at Arizona State. Everybody's like, oh, I can't believe U of A lost in the first round to Buffalo. Yeah, all those were Bobby's kids. Pretty much playing his same system, and he was gone. So I know Bobby can coach. I'm not defending him in the whole I'm not voting for Caleb Love. I was like, oh, wow, that's a little spicy, bro. You know, like, really, you just want to say that out loud? That was crazy to me. But I also know, like, dude has no chill. He doesn't. And maybe he need, Saul Bookman, image consultant. Maybe, you want to give him. I'll give you his number. You can call him.
But listen, man, for every action, there's a reaction. I'm going to give you a reaction to your action about Buffalo. Yeah, those were his players. But Nate Oates is the one that coached him that year to beat Arizona. And where's Nate Oates now? He's at Alabama. How many Final Fours has he gone to? At least one. Yeah. And again, that's where the shortcomings of Bobby Hurley are really here. That's just what it is.
And wasn't that DeAndre Ayton's
only year?
Yep. Only year.
Yep.
The story breaks in February that Sean Miller gave him $100,000. And who was Pac-12 Player of the Year?
Yeah.
Amid a huge scandal that was all over ESPN, still Pac-12 Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to slow Caleb down. If Arizona wins the Big 12 and Caleb is the leading scorer, I think the universe will play itself out and he'll get the award. And it's great content. It's made for TV. Yeah, the game on the 4th in Tucson is going to be great. I hope the kids play it clean. They're already going to play it hard, so we don't need to worry about that. And I think the other thing is whether they're sticking the pitchfork at midfield or you're talking trash to the opposing team's bench, there is a move and a need for decorum on all sides so that we can enjoy the game. Yeah, that's just my feel. But yeah, it was definitely some craziness. I'm not even gonna lie. I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
But I hadn't finished my point yet. Real quick.
Go ahead. I'm trying to wrap it up. Go ahead.
My point was that Nate Oates got to the Final Four, and then on top of that, in that season, you had mentioned that Bobby Hurley's team was number 3 in the country. They were on the cusp of being number 1 in the country until they played the University of Arizona and DeAndre Ayton. And that was their first loss of the season. It knocked them down, and then they ended up losing like 5 out of the next 6 or something like that.
They hit the
skid out of the top 25, and Arizona ended up getting into the top 10, and they were a quality team. So again, like, it all comes full circle, but the truth is the truth. And Bobby Hurley's coaching of his team needs to elevate to a whole nother level before he can start to pull off antics like what he's trying to pull off right now. And that's my point. He's got to be better than that, and his team has got to be better than that in order to solidify what he's doing on the side.
I can give you that. And the rivalry game hits different. I mean, Ohio State fans know if they don't win it all, that Michigan loss stings even worse. So the rivalry game in a lot of sports, because the fan base is so tied to that rivalry game, if Alabama loses to Auburn, if Duke, North Carolina, Arizona State, these games hit different and can cost a coach their job. That's just the nature of college sports.
For sure. For sure. Well, listen, we're going to get into, obviously we got to look at Texas Tech, but we also want to go back to our vision board from earlier in the year, and we'll do that right after this. Listen, man, I think Bobby Hurley is straight capping, and so can you at Branded Bills. How about that? So Branded Bills is the best cap in the game, the best hats in the game, and you can save yourself up to 20% off using Branded Bills. Look at this nice, dope lid. It's one of their elite edition hats. You can get this in a variety of different colors and styles. I went with this blue camo style. I really like it. It's pretty dope. It's got the Branded Bills logo on the side. It's a sweet hat. It feels great. It looks great. You can get yourself as well. Elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has got you covered no matter what. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart? If you're a business owner, that's also another place you can go to get yourself hooked up. So head over to brandedbills.com, use promo code PHNX, and save yourself up to 20% off on your first order. Also, Corey's rocking Branded Bills hat as well. That's our special PHNX edition of Branded Bills, and you can get that on our website at gophnx.com as well. And then, listen, we all love watching ball, and usually when we're watching ball, we're probably snacking on some things, and Spinato's Pizza is probably one of those snacks that you would love to get your hands on. And if you're a Suns fan, this is a great time to go to Spinato's Pizza because they want to establish themselves as the best place to watch Suns games with their Phoenix Suns watch parties. They are the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns, and their watch parties feature the Phoenix Suns dancers and the gorilla at every single away watch party. They are also doing a basketball horse contest, and it's called Pizza instead of Horse. It's just that simple. And so you can win a lot of prizes by playing in those games, including free Suns tickets. And feel free to incorporate the latest news around the Suns. When you're watching the trade deadline and you're upset that the Suns didn't make a move, guess what? Pizza always helps you feel better about your team that probably won't do anything now. So that's just what it is. So again, listen, go to Spinato's. It's fantastic. You can't go wrong with that. Play their pizza, go to their watch parties, get all the info on the watch parties and pizza basketball contest at Spinato's Pizzeria.com. That's Spinato's Pizzeria.com, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. All right, Corey, let's go back to the vision board. It's been a while.
Hold on. I want your thought on this.
Okay.
Nobody wanted KD? Nobody?
No, everybody wanted KD, but the Suns, they had a couple offers for him that they took a look at. They presented a couple to KD, and KD didn't want to go. And so that's that. And they're not going to do KD wrong.
He need to go.
Well,
gotta go. He's washed.
That's a topic for a different story. And if you wanted to get that topic,
you
want to get that topic, you can come to Outside Shots tomorrow morning with myself and Eddie Johnson to get the latest on that because he was on the road.
If I wasn't on the plane, I got a game. I tell you. Anyway.
So let's go back to the vision board. Corey, we had earlier in the year, for those of you who don't know, we had a vision board, and it was kind of a list of things that the Wildcats would need to achieve in order to get to the Final Four. So let's take a look at what you presented. So we had that edge, which means toughness. We had defensive stops, good bigs. So obviously that's self-explanatory. And then I think a bread and butter offense, your go-tos, shooters, and then athletes. And then, obviously that comes with a new legacy for Tommy Lloyd and the Arizona program. And the end goal would be cutting down the nets in some way, shape, or form. So as we go through this, what are some things that you feel confident in checking off on that vision board? Let's pull it up one more time there, Kevin.
So let's start top left, that edge. Arizona has lost its share of games already. They've lost enough games for the season. They put their backs against the wall, and they don't want to feel that way ever again. They don't want to lose. They've lost close games at the end. They're sick of it, and it motivates them. So I think they have that edge. The bigs, Toby and Vasar, they're hooping. They're consistent. They're showing up. The dunks, the blocks, the rebounds, the putbacks. We have got solid big man play at Arizona. The athleticism was there from the jump. The only two things I feel like defensive stops, they have that now. They went on the road, locked up Cincy, West Virginia. They locked up BYU in the second half. The last 6 or 7 minutes, BYU couldn't buy a bucket. Arizona is winning games on the defensive end for sure. The only two things that still need to come around,
The
Watching
only two
Arizona,
things that stop Arizona from total supremacy.
it's still, there's not a lot of easy buckets in their offense. You know, they work and they get buckets, but let's be real. When they come over half court, it's a crapshoot. We don't know what's going to happen. They saw it for three, Caleb floater. Nobody's really getting the rock in the post and backing anybody down. That's what I think Krivas would have done as the five. He would have been that post up jump hook type guy. But they dribble handoff. They got great action. Trey Townsend from three, Trey on a post up. Like, we don't know what is going to happen on offense yet, but it's enough to win. So I ain't mad at it. I'm not mad at it. But eventually, man, those easy buckets from that one play that you know you can run and get that good look, you need about 8 to 10 points a night of just, running our stuff, boom, get a little knockdown. Low energy buckets. Every bucket can't be a fight. And then shooters.
Real quick, the way I like to think about that is every time my wife comes home from work, we always have to sit here and think about dinner. And it's just nice if, like, every now and then, like, I made dinner or I cooked it or she brings home dinner and I don't have to think about it. It's just thank you for taking something off my plate, right? Man. That's kind of what I feel like is with the offense, right?
That's exactly what it is. Because like, we used to have a play called two side years ago, and it didn't matter what you was going to do. We walking, Damon's coming down court, two side. Your coach knows what it is. Y'all been practicing for 3 days. But what are you going to do? You're going to give Damon the screen, or you're going to reject it and let Damon come this way with Corey in the corner? You're going to hedge Damon and give Rayos the pick and pop, and if you rotate to Ray, it still goes to Corey in the corner? Or are you going to go under and then let JB step in and he feeds JB? We're going to get something out of two side. It was our bread and butter that we didn't know what we were going to get, but you go back and watch those tapes. Like, we ran 5 plays the whole game. Now, those days have changed and the game is different. But when I say bread and butter offense, I mean stuff that you can go to a second, third, fourth option and get some offensive productivity in a screaming gym with crazy fans, high leverage moment. We got our bag full of plays that we know we can go to. You need a little bit of certainty, but Arizona's getting wins kind of without that. And then the shooters, I won't say we've got consistent shooters just yet. Yeah, Delhi will get hot, knock down a couple of threes, or maybe Caleb will hit a 60-footer and then drill 2 threes in overtime. But I don't think there's an Arizona fan out there, if we're being honest, that would describe the shooting as consistent right now. So those are the only 2 things. We need a little bit more offensive consistency. And man, it'd be nice to know this guy's going, 4 for 7 from 3 every night out.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with those two. I think Arizona's starting to pick up a little bit on the bread and butter, and it's not necessarily from scheme. It's more of just their approach and their points of emphasis in attacking the paint. I've noticed in the last several games, like, going to the paint, whether it be guards or bigs, like, that is definitely a point of emphasis in order to give yourself a little bit more opportunity from the perimeter in terms of quality shots, and not dribble pull-ups, right? I think that's vital to a guy like Delhi, because Delhi has been struggling against some of the upper echelon teams in not only in this conference, but also across the country, as you saw earlier in the season. And the athletic wings give him a little bit of an issue. And so he needs as much space as possible to be able to get shots off and get quality looks, because when he gets those, he typically knocks those down, and you feel pretty confident about that. He's the only one right now on the roster that, if he was wide open, to me, if I need to give one guy a shot wide open, it would be Delhi. Sure. And then after that, it'd be Caleb, because we've seen Caleb be wide open. Hell, I've seen Caleb be wide open and hitting nothing but net, and I've seen him airball all in the same game, which we saw against ASU the other day, right? And he played good, and he was shooting well in that game. It's just sometimes you're too wide open, I guess. And so that's what I would say about the offense. I like how they're attacking the paint, and they're kind of relentless with that. I want them to keep that going. Jaden and KJ get to the paint as well as anybody else. Caleb's been attacking the paint, and then you throw in Awaka and Vasar and those guys as well. Like, I really like that. And then when you're talking about shooters, yeah, I would agree. Shooting, I feel like that is the kryptonite that they have right now. They're shooting, it's the consistency, and take Delhi open shots out of it. They don't really have a consistent shooter right now from the perimeter that they can rely on. Caleb can get hot. Jaden can be somewhat consistent-ish, but even he's not that elite of a three-point shooter. That's my concern. That's my concern.
Do you shoot craps?
I mean, I have in the past.
But
yeah.
you know the
Yeah, I know the game.
Tell me that's not watching Caleb Love. Tell me that's not the feel.
Oh yeah.
He come out the gate and drill that first three. That's 7, first roll. Oh, I'm hot. I'm hot. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh, I'm 7. Bam. Nothing, like he hits his first. Like when he comes out, if you come out the gate on 7, you're like, oh, this is gonna be his night.
Yep.
Now,
every now and then,
you come out and your point is 9. And that's like you just keep, come on now, come on 9, come on 9. You know, you try to hit your point before the game is over. The clock is it's 10 minutes to go and he's 1 for 11. My point is 9 and I'm still throwing and I'm not hitting. That's how I be feeling like, oh man, it's gonna be one of them nights. Maybe we'll hit our point before the clock reads 000. I don't know, but I get such a kick out of watching that because it's just that way, bro. Like, if you come out the gate and you know you get that hot roll and say, yeah, he's on tonight. You get your money. You walk up, everybody broke by the time you get up.
Sometimes you come out and you just roll snake eyes right off the bat. And it's over.
You see what I'm saying? 0 for 4. 0 for 4
like that, huh? Okay.
And it's like, do you want to keep shooting or you want to pass the dice? I mean, what are we doing here? We're losing a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? But you know the thing that's amazing about this team? They don't flinch. They don't care. They're cool with it. They keep feeding them. They're like, yo, we need you. We know you're going to make them. So we'll sit back and watch 4, maybe 5 misses in a row, and we kicking you the 6th one without any hesitation. That is a true team. That is that. And it was so great that he could give that gift back to those guys with that 70-foot shot. Like, hey,
yes,
this is the one that wasn't supposed to go in, and we got it. So when your guy gives you, and then in overtime, the 2 threes he drew were even bigger. And shout out, Carter Bryant, who played fabulous at BYU.
Yes.
Carter Bryant got into the mix, but when people got to understand that ball is trust. When the point guard passes it into the big, he's saying, hey, this is what I believe is our best option. When you pass it in the corner to Delhi, I believe you're going to make this. When you dribble over and you look off the big man, I believe you're not good enough. So it's all trust. Everything that happens is a nonverbal communication from your teammates. So you can't overlook that when guys, whatever that ball is doing, like I want to win, Saul wants to win, Kev wants to win, and I think Kev's got the best chance for all of us to elevate. We have all decided in a split second to trust Kev with the game winner. That's literally what basketball is. And you earn that trust every day in practice. So when I see Caleb miss 4 or 5 shots in a row and they still, without hesitation, kick him to rock, that lets me know these guys really rock with each other off the court, that they're really friends. They really believe that they're all in the same boat together because Toby Awaka was paddling the boat in the first 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And then KJ came in and he was doing his thing and Caleb started making threes and the boat got across the finish line or to the other side of the lake and everybody had done some paddling.
Yeah.
And Tommy said it in the press conference. He said, they are playing way better than I am coaching. Let that sink in. Tommy Lloyd said that. They are playing way better than I'm coaching. In other words, my seeds have grown. It was just some small seeds that I was planting in August and September, and they're growing, and now they're blossoming, and I can't really sit here and take credit for this whole situation because all of these guys are playing above and beyond the expectations and what we've put on them.
Yeah.
And that's what every coach in the country would love to come into a press conference and say that, and not just be BS. And Tommy really means that because I didn't tell KJ Lewis to go get that deflection and get the breakaway layup. I didn't tell Vsar to come down the lane and tomahawk dunk on everybody. They just doing it.
Yeah.
I'm standing here with my arms crossed and I'm loving it, but they finally start doing it. That's the difference.
For those of you that are watching us on those streaming platforms, make sure you follow the rest of the show over at gophnx.com and become a diehard today, because you can get free merch like this shirt or that hoodie or that hat if you become a diehard. So there you go. No, I totally agree with you on that, and that's the beauty of it. And also, like you talked about, Hurley probably needs somebody to kind of talk to him before he speaks. Sometimes I want to talk to Tommy before he speaks, because I'm like, bro, don't be saying stuff like they're playing better than I'm coaching, because people will hold that and they will use it against you when your downfall comes at some point. Like, that's just what people do. I don't know why they choose to do it, but they don't understand it. They don't understand that. They don't understand that comment, and they think that shows weakness. But I don't think it shows weakness.
No, because the truth is this. When you taught your kids how to ride a bike, right? Mm-hmm. They were falling, scraped knees, but you knew eventually they'd get the hang of it. And then one day they go sailing by riding that bike. Mm-hmm. You're not on the bike with them. You're not holding it. You're not, but you still feel proud. You know they wouldn't have got there without you.
Yeah.
See, that's what it is. It's like, okay, my guys are sailing by riding the bike without training wheels. He got them to that point. Because 4 wins and 5 losses, nobody was happy with that. We can't say they were playing well. We put up that vision board and they was 0 for 6 at that point of their career. So, yeah, the training wheels have come off, and his guidance, his trust, because think about it. I'm sitting here every year waiting for Jerry Jones to blow up the Dallas Cowboys. We are perennial Arizona at 4-5. Waiting for it to happen. A team that deserves to be blown up. Tommy didn't blow up Arizona at 4-5. Tommy didn't blow up the rotation. Tommy didn't throw kids under the bus. Tommy just kept coaching. He kept believing in his kids, and now they're paying him back. They're giving it back. Yeah. And that's what coaching is about, man. You got a kid that's probably a 7. You tell him he's a 10, so he gives you a 9. And everybody's like, how'd you get a 9 out of that 7? Well, I'm a hell of a coach. So that, I think it's a great place for Arizona to be in. But much like the Detroit Lions and the New Orleans Saints, how they celebrated their Super Bowl after they beat Dallas this year, don't nobody care. Don't nobody care what you do in week 4.
Lions celebrated the Super Bowl like beating the Cowboys.
Bruh, I'm a Cowboy fan. I'm telling you, they acted like they won the Super Bowl. And I was like, that's their biggest mistake right there.
Bro, I was at that game. I was literally in Dallas watching that game, and they absolutely destroyed Dallas from the first drive. Like, they knew they were better. I don't feel like
but they running trick plays. They all on social media, and I'm like, we can't be your season, bro. Like, y'all won a Super Bowl. This is week 3 or 4 or 5. I don't know, one of the first 5 weeks. They literally, I said, they got it wrong. They running trick plays against us. They done won the Super Bowl in week 5.
Oh my God.
And then what happened? A young rookie came in their house, took their cornbread, and put his feet up on their coffee table. Didn't he? A lot of good, all that trick plays against Dallas in week 5, did you? When Jaden Daniels came in.
They had more wins than that, Corey.
Give me your cornbread. They didn't win the one they needed.
They beat better teams than the Cowboys this year.
But I'm saying the way they celebrated, it was as if they wanted it.
If you want more Cowboy stuff, go watch DLLS Cowboys affiliate ALLCITY Network. They're at the Super Bowl doing great content. But this ain't a Cowboys podcast, and we're not talking about the Cowboys anymore. What we will talk about is another team in the state of Texas, and that is Texas Tech.
Fair enough.
From Lubbock. Texas Tech coming to town. Obviously, Arizona lost that game by 16, although the score is a little out of whack because that game was really, really close until about the last 4 minutes of the game, and then kind of the wheels fell off. Arizona, listen, point blank, the best way for Arizona to be able to win this game is don't miss the bunnies. They missed so many easy shots against Texas Tech that first time around. They played a little too fast. It was a little too much of an environment for them. They played a little, listen, and they almost, this is straight from Arizona personnel. They said they had the fear of God in them flying into Lubbock the day before because there was just this massive, like sandstorm and the plane is moving. And they were like, they gave the Sanford and Son, Elizabeth, I don't know how I'm gonna make it right. Like that's exactly what happened for them. So like, hey, listen, and you all have they have stinkers. every team has stinkers every now and then. Iowa State just had a stinker against Kansas State at home. Like, it happens. But now it's redemption time. The leading scorer in this game is not going to be Jaden Bradley with just 11 points. I promise you that. It'll be a completely different game. But they still got to hold the foot. And JT Toppin went off in that game. Chance McMillan had a couple key buckets. Elijah Hawkins, very good point guard, a little water bug out there. They got to contain Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a very good team. They're 13th in the country for a reason. Arizona owes them. So, let's go look at this ball up top. How about that? Ball up top, Jaden Bradley, Elijah Hawkins. This is basically the exact same thing that we had in game one. JT Toppin was coming off injury. I think he kind of surprised Arizona in that first game in terms of how much production he can have. This time around, I don't think they will catch him off guard, but that doesn't mean he won't be as effective.
I am so mad I'm going to have on a headset and I'll be calling a game when this thing tips because
JT Toppin had 20 points and 16 rebounds. Jeez.
Bro, this is a Final Four game. I'm not even joking you. This is who you play in the Final Four. You play a team that went into Houston, lost their best player and their coach minutes into the game,
and cracked
Houston in Houston. They coming in here with everybody Saturday.
Yeah.
They coming in here winners of how many in a row? 7 in a row or 10?
Mm-hmm. 7.
7 in a row.
Yeah.
They're undefeated on the road. And despite the rankings, you tell me who's the bigger brand. You tell me who the underdog is. I don't know lines. I don't bet. But I know Texas Tech is coming into McKale Center feeling like we here for some respect. We would love to knock off top-ranked Arizona in their own building. We know Texas Tech isn't a big name like Arizona is. Forget the fact that we're ranked higher than them. Texas Tech is feeling like they are the underdogs in McKale. The crowd's going to go crazy. They watched the wins against BYU. They probably watched a lot of the Iowa State game as well to prep for Arizona. They're trying to not think about the Houston win because every game is different. But I think this is a great matchup because both teams are going to have a chip on their shoulder. You beat us in Texas Tech. It wasn't as crazy as the score made it seem. And now you're coming in our building and it's payback. And they're coming in like, we're Texas Tech. We haven't been this good in since forever. And this is our Cinderella story. And we're going to write another page of our story in your living room and come in and put our feet up on your couch. So it's going to be a great game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of political capital lost by whoever loses this game. It's not a bad loss for either team.
No, it's a quad one game for both teams. So that's important because you need to stack your quad one wins for your tournament resume. And Arizona once was 0-5 in those games and now is 6-6. They've won 6 out of the last 7 quad one wins. That one loss being against Texas Tech. That's just it. And that's their only loss in the Big 12. Texas Tech has lost twice in the Big 12 so far. And they know they can't drop another one because if they drop another one, that's 2 games behind Arizona. And Arizona still has an opportunity to play at home against Houston. And then the next closest team has 4 losses in the Big 12. So Arizona right now is sitting in really good position to get a top 4 seed for the Big 12 tournament, which is great. However, they got to take care of home business at home. As you've talked about, they had to go undefeated at home in order for them to be able to rebound this season. So far, they have held serve, and now they need to take care of Texas Tech at home. ESPN moved the game from 8 to 8:30, and I feel like they did that because A, they were tired of putting those games on an alternate channel to start because that was ridiculous, and B, this is a big matchup. This is a huge matchup, and it's 8:30 at night. It's prime time. Like everybody in the country, it's Saturday night. People will be watching, and this is a great opportunity to learn not only about Arizona but also about Texas Tech and realize that like there's more teams in the Big 12 than I think even the nation accounted for. Because at the beginning of the season, it was Kansas, it was Iowa State, it was Baylor, and it was Houston, and not a lot of love was thrown to Texas Tech.
None.
Now they're coming back to the foray, and Texas Tech is legit. They're a really, really good basketball team, but they're not unbeatable. They're not, Arizona, I feel like matches up very well against them. I just felt like that they really did just play poorly in Lubbock. And I don't expect that to happen in front of their home fans this week, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an easy game at all.
No, and that's the thing about the network. All of a sudden you moving games up to 8:30 and you put it on ESPN because, you wasn't really talking about Texas Tech or Arizona, but the win against Iowa State, the Texas Tech win at Houston, this is a game that people want to see. I think both of these teams have surprised the Big 12 pundits because I don't think anybody expected them to be second and third in the Big 12 right around now. Arizona's a new kid on the block, welcoming everybody to McKale Center and then going out and getting tough road wins. And Texas Tech, nobody wants to play them just because they're just so physical. They block shots, they defend, they rebound. They've got 2, if not 3 players that I think will probably play in the NBA, but I'm just excited. I think it'll be a good game. I'll have it on my phone, low key. I hope my bosses aren't listening. But I'm going to be watching and working at the same time.
Corey, what you think about that shot? What? Yeah, that was good. That was good. Solid. That was solid.
I'm gonna get the AI prompts going in my phone so I can just put it over.
Arizona, obviously, they're road ahead after Texas Tech. They go on the road to Manhattan, and that'll finish off a 3 out of 4 game trip on the road with the lone game, obviously, at home against Texas Tech. They go to Kansas State, and then they come home with another big matchup. So back-to-back Saturdays, folks. Texas Tech, Houston, the biggest games of the year at home in McKale. It'll be the last time you get to see your Wildcats take on a significantly formidable opponent at home. Those are the last 2 big-time games because other than that, I'm not saying that the ASU game doesn't mean anything or at home against BYU or Utah, but let's be real. These two teams are in the top 15 in the country. The other ones aren't ranked. There's a difference there. And so it's going to be a big-time matchup. I'm excited for it. Also, if you love Arizona athletics, if you love Arizona football, my guy, Damon, who's been on the road at the Super Bowl, he got an interview with T-Mac. Ever heard of him? Probably one of the best wide receivers in the country. It's going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick, but he got an interview with him. So you're going to have to check that out possibly tomorrow on PHNX Wildcats as Kevin is leading the show this week. And I'm the guest. I'm the guest tomorrow live in studio. So that'll be fun. But Corey's going to be doing what game on Saturday?
St. Mary's, undefeated, winning in first place in the WCC, goes to Corvallis, Oregon to play the Oregon State Beavers, who knocked off Gonzaga in Corvallis. It's hard to win. Wayne Tinkle and the Beavers are tough at home. St. Mary's, both teams play tonight, so we'll see if St. Mary's is a tough one against University of San Francisco, who's in second place in WCC. And the Beavers, I don't know where they are. They're at home, so they probably will pick up a win too. So, it could be Beavers 5-1 at home. St. Mary's undefeated on the road. It's going to be something.
Oregon State, the home of tough Beavers. Got to give it to them. All right. That's it for us here on McKale Madness. We appreciate y'all for showing up and showing some love. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a 5-star rating and a review. We'd really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button on your way out. We'd really appreciate it. For Corey Williams, you can follow him at College Corey. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman. And you can follow the show at PHNX_Wildcats. Let's have a fun one this weekend. Let's get another dub. And as always, bear down. Go Cats.
We all silly like the mayor.